Sawadee Krap, and welcome to another Thailand Tuesday here on the Funkit Pod. It's Tuesday, I'm in Thailand. You know what it means. We talk about living, working, surviving in Thailand. And as always, as we established in the last 5 or 6 episodes, I'll be answering a few questions first. I appreciate those, of course. Even though there's some weird channels how you ask questions, like one question came in via my private Facebook stalker, but I'm still going to answer it. So one question was a follow-up to the COVID-19 vaccine info I gave out last time. So again, I'm not a medical professional and I'm not a government representative, so take it with a grain of salt and so on. So the question was, if I get a vaccine at home, will I have privileges in Thailand? Meaning, do I have to quarantine? Can I do anything? And the answer is, I don't know. There are so many news out there that are contradictory. As of now, I believe you don't have privileges. At least they did talk about the vaccination passport and things like this a while ago. I haven't heard any news in a few weeks now, though, so I'm not sure if that's going to be a thing. I heard or I read in different news outlets that certain areas in Thailand, for example Phuket, are thinking of opening for vaccinated tourists. How exactly this will look like is anybody's guess, though, unfortunately. You have to wait for official announcements there. They're definitely in the planning stage for this, though. Another question there was a question on Facebook, was about, and I hesitate, about visa. All right, so about visa stuff, right? So I have an actual work, non-immigrant, non-B visa that's linked to a work permit. Yeah, so if I wouldn't have an employer that would basically give me a contract saying, I work for them and I need a work permit, and so I have to apply for a work permit. When the work permit is approved, then I can get a visa, or the other way around. I need a contract. I apply for the visa, I get the visa, then I get the work permit. I have to renew both every year. There are things like visa runs, at least there have been, meaning you come on, for example, an educational visa, and I'm just saying what I heard, I'm not recommending this, and then when your visa expires, you leave the country, then you come back in the country, and then you might get an extension or something like this. So there are services that offer this. You have to give them your passport, though, or do it by yourself. I'm not recommending this. And once in a while, immigration also cracks down on things like this because, of course, they know what's going on, right? So I wouldn't recommend relying on that. There are lots of institutions that give out educational visas. So, of course, universities, if you actually study there, but also like Muay Thai schools, for example, give out educational visas, or language learning institutions and things like this. Again, if you go for such a visa, I obviously urge you to actually also participate in the training, if it's from Muay Thai school, or the language training, if it's some language classes, if it's an educational institution, language school, to actually participate in that and also learn something. Of course, I'm not saying you should use this for whatever means you want to use it. Okay. Also, if you're on an educational visa, you're not allowed to work here, I believe. Please double check that. Again, I'm not the immigration officer. I just know what I have to know for my visa to make this work. All right. What else? Other questions? I think the other question I keep for next time, because I might just be able to tell a crazier story about this. The question is any crazy things that I experienced in Thailand. And last time I explained like how I got attacked when I was in Udon Thani, right? Like, being it racism, yes, no, who knows? And yeah, there are a few more crazy stories that I can't tell, but maybe I should just have like one crazy episode where I just go all out and share crazy stories. Another question was then about the life in Udon Thani, or like the life in Isan per se. And that's probably the opposite of a crazy story. Because let's be honest, Isan isn't that exciting. I mentioned last time, or in the episodes before, the people are awesome. But for example, let's just explain like how my daily life basically looked like, and just also sprinkle in a few interesting stories that happened there. So, for example, I live in Udon Thani, and then every evening, and I mentioned this before, I went for a run in a park, Nong Prajak Park, which was close by where my college was located, right? So I went for a run there, and afterwards maybe I would go to a nearby local food market, grab some food. Very often khao niao mu ping, which is sticky rice with grilled pork, typical local food, or some I don't know, some grilled chicken, gayang, for example, also with some khao niao, sticky rice. And that's it. So in the first few times when I went there, apparently I was the only foreigner, white guy, or at least youngish white guy that they've seen. Because let's be honest, most white guys in Udon Thani are a bit older. Not hating, just saying. And so in the beginning, people pointing at me, kids pointing at me. An older lady came to me and just touched me on the arm, and then saw like how the color, like how the arm gets really white, right? And then how it comes, like how it changes the color, and she's like, oh, and then told her kid, like whatever it was, niece or grandchild or whatever, to do the same. So they just touched me. Yeah, one could say racist, another one could say curious. So I'm going with curious here in this case. I had no problem with this. They were smiling and everything. So yeah, I don't mind this. So they were just curious. They talked to me. Back then my Thai wasn't that great, so I didn't understand that much. But they talked about food and they pointed what I like and what I don't like, and then I just learned a few basic words like to say what is, for example, pork. Pork is moo, and then I just pointed like moo to know if it's pork or not, or chicken guy. So I couldn't really phrase sentences back then because it was the beginning, right, of my stay here in Thailand. So I was just pointing and just saying the words for pork and chicken and whatnot, and fish, because I'm allergic to fish. So I would say blah, and then like they would say yes or no, like chai, mai chai, and then they would say more, because as soon as you say a few words in Thai, they're so happy and they think that you speak Thai well, they're like throwing it all at you and like, oh my god, it's too much, but super nice. So I'm not hating or anything. Then while I was staying there, they also started to have like a walking street. That's how they call it. So every Friday and Saturday, I believe, they closed down a certain road in Udon Thani, and then they had like some shops popping up, like pop-up shops, basically like a street market for like non-food related, also food, but mostly then clothes, second-hand stuff, and so on. You could just walk around. It's a bit inspired by Chiang Mai. In Chiang Mai, it's really, really big. In Udon Thani, not that big, but it started to make it happen a little bit at least. That was nice. Then around the lake where I was running, they had like some milk shops. It's a thing for the kids to sit down, have like some milkshakes and whatnot, and chill there. Also some other smaller street restaurants, of course. So it's an average evening in Udon Thani. Maybe go running, go to the park, chill in the park, meet with friends there, and then go hang out, eat something. And that's it. My colleague who was assigned to take care of me in the college, who was the only one who spoke English close to fluent-ish, he was very disappointed. He heard I'm German, and he's like, yeah, because he liked to go to pubs, and they had one really like old school Western pub in Udon Thani, and he took me there, and he was disappointed that I wouldn't drink any beer because I did not drink alcohol. So he was like very disappointed that he doesn't have a friend now that would drink any beer with him. I'm sorry, Ajahn Bancha. I'm sorry for not living up to your expectations. What else? Yeah, well, then when I got a bit more independent, I realized where to go, how to take the Songthaew, those public transport buses, vans, whatever you want to call it. So then I explored the area around Udon Thani, right? So then the main spot for where things happen is, of course, the shopping malls of Central World. Next to Central World, you have something that's called UD Town. Back when I was there, it's like an open air. Nowadays, you would call it community mall, and I think by now it also looks a little bit more like a community mall. Back then, it was just like some random, like single shops, like here, there. Before I left, they opened a KFC there, which was like a big event. Yay, KFC in Udon Thani. Yeah, so that was that. But then next to Central World, and if I'm bored, I walk, right? So I went out to walk a lot, and so then I decided to walk home from Central World to Udon Thani, to my college in Udon Thani. It's a 30-minute walk or something like this, and You next to Central World, or very close to Central World, is a street. The locals call it Soi Phalang. So Phalang is the Thai word for foreigner, a bit derogatory. Sometimes depends how they use it. Basically means foreigner, like in a lovely derogatory way. So Soi Phalang, Soi is the word for alley, so it means Phalang alley. I'm like, why is it called Soi Phalang? So I went into Soi Phalang, and then that's where like those creepy bars are with like the dimmed light and so on, where you can see bar girls also in Udon Thani sitting there waiting for whoever passes by. That's where some tattoo shops are. And yes, I got a tattoo there too, but I wasn't drunk, it wasn't purpose, and I just went there because one of my friends suggested this tattoo parlor, so that's why I trusted. And it's still there. Didn't die, didn't get infected. Who? Yeah, so then this Soi Phalang was a bit creepy, a bit crazier, because if you go through it and you see like what you expect or what you not expect, or what you see in some terrible documentaries or bad movies about Thailand, that like girls are everywhere. And that's not the case, right? It's just in like those dedicated areas, just like everywhere else in the world. Like even I'm not saying I know those spots in Germany, but I probably could point you into the right direction where to find such establishments also in Germany, for example. But so I passed those bars with the bar girls and so on. They're like, hey, come here, sit down. Like, I was way shyer back then than I am now. So I was just like, oh, thank you. In Thai, to be polite, I'm khop kun kap, my ow, I don't want. And then I just left and was walking very fast towards home, and then I think I never went back into that Soi ever again until I got my tattoo. Actually, how cliche. Getting a tattoo in Soi Phalang. Oh God, don't tell anyone. Luckily, no one hears this here. All right. So then I walked back home, and I saw like that's how I got to know Udon Thani. Walking, I just tried different routes back home, and that's how I got to know Udon. That's how I also got lost. Sometimes got really tired. There's also a Robinson department store as part of Central World. And that's where I got my foreign food fix, basically. So I went there and then bought some baguette or something like once every few weeks, and I was like, baguette and just some salami. I was like, oh, I missed it. The baguette wasn't great though, to be honest. And now, these days it's better, I believe. They also have there's like a German bakery and everything. It sounds like I've been there like 100 years ago, but really like, I don't know, back then there wasn't that much. Now it's like popping and everything. So respect for Udon to like, yeah, building up on everything, becoming bigger and making it more livable, more enjoyable than back then probably. However, again, this not having much was pretty charming. It sounds stupid, but a bit detoxing from the I don't know, consummate lifestyle, from the consume focused lifestyle, I guess one could say. Because especially ever since moving to Bangkok, and of course I like Bangkok for what it is, and more on Bangkok than as we move on. But next or the one after episode, Bangkok is awesome for this. You have everything here. You can get everything at any time during the pandemic until 11 p.m. But you know what I mean, right? You can get everything here. There's nothing that you can't get anytime, any day of the week. There's way more possibilities here than in any German city I ever lived in. I lived in Berlin too, so it's crazy. But it's all very consumption-oriented. Consumption. I want this. I want that. I need this. I need that. I need to do this. Go to this event. Go to that event. It's really hectic in Bangkok. Even if you try not to be in the busy lifestyle, you still, like, as soon as you leave the door, your house, and I live in a very quiet area of Bangkok right now. And I look out the window right now, I see trees and it's quiet and no street, no road, no nothing. But as soon as I go out and walk, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, I'm like in the hustle and bustle, and like you feel like, oh God, it's so busy. I need to do this. You go crazy. In Udon Thani, it's like chill. In Thai, there's like the saying, sabai, like take it easy. And I think in Isan, because also they need to be happy with less, of course, and which is sad, but which also leads to them being kind of happy. It's a weird thing, right? So it's a weird thing to say, I know, but the people I met there were just usually very, very calm, very friendly, very sabai, like very relaxed, which was just very nice. I'm just thinking back now. That's why I'm hesitating. I'm just thinking back right now. And of course, so for example, my where I stayed, my room was terrible. I didn't have anything. I had my laptop and internet connection to see what's going on, but I didn't have many friends. I didn't have any sports clubs or whatever. I didn't meet many people. Oh, another question on social media. Thank you for this. Did you ever do anything with your students? I assume you're taking this towards the gutter, this question, and no, of course not. What the hell is that question? I'm assuming that's what the question aims for, because there was a winky smiley behind. No, of course not. I don't want to go to jail. B, I love my job. So no, crazy. Just saying. It's not that I haven't heard of that, but I mean, you hear the news in Southeast Asia, and of course, it's morally and ethically wrong. But while I say this, you probably think like, yeah, you're saying this because. Have you seen the punishment that people get for doing stuff like this in Southeast Asia? Right. So no. So no adultery, no drugs, no nothing, because I'm scared AF to do something that gets me in real trouble here. So you've seen the news, you've seen like people disappearing and so on. And I say with a smile on my face because of course you would hope it's not the case anymore, but still I don't wanna let it come to this. So no, here I'm like very much a person playing by the rules. Yeah, I know it's lame, but better safe than sorry. Okay, back to Udon Thani and the nice people and the relaxed lifestyle. What was crazy in Udon Thani though usually was and it's a bit lame to say, but the weather, because when there's rainy season, there's flooding, right? Even in Bangkok there's flooding, but in Udon Thani, there's flooding. Like one day I woke up, I couldn't believe it. Like seriously, they canceled school, canceled college because of the flooding, and I'm not kidding. So when I went out of my room in the school campus was like, it was more than ankle deep underwater, like way more than ankle deep, not knee deep, but way more than ankle deep. And then when I tried to go out of campus to the main road, which is a little bit below the campus, that was knee deep. Like it's a 3 lanes one way, so 6-lane road. It's knee deep underwater. I could not believe it. I was baffled. I was like, what in the world is this? Like, where am I right now? And this happened on a regular basis during rainy season. I hope by now it's better, but it was crazy. Like even like on a main road, like I thought main roads are built so that they not gonna end up underwater, but it was crazy. So crazy experience there. I just want to say that. Okay, back to, I lost completely my train of thoughts right now with this question that I just remembered. Back to Udon Thani, the nice people. Right, okay. So yeah, people super nice, relaxed, chill, still in touch with some of them, of course, teachers as well as students. It's the nice thing also, the students, like even after I left, they kept me up to date, like, hey teacher, and they still call me teacher. Hey teacher, how are you doing? What's up? I'm doing this and this right now. I'm using what you taught me. That's what you want to hear, right? And it's just nice to see how far they've come, some of them. So yeah, oh yeah, now I remember what I wanted to talk about, and maybe next time I should just write it all down before I record the podcast. So, one thing in Udon Thani, right? That's going to get me in trouble with like some of the audience, because some of the audience are probably people that are living in Isan and a little bit older. Sorry guys, no offense. But what I've seen is what happened a lot was older foreigners in Udon Thani, Isan, then looking up for young girls. And sometimes, I mean, it's A, creepy, okay, yeah, but then B, also sometimes the families would push those young girls towards like, hey, you should find an older foreigner because he can take care of you and your family. So why don't you think about that? Maybe it's worth it. Check it out. And I've seen this a few times happening. One time actually we went on a college trip, and then one student had like an older foreigner with her. I'm like, okay, maybe she wants to take her dad or her stepdad or whatever. That's nice. Maybe she has to take care of him. And then I came to realize that was her boyfriend, husband, and she was barely 18, and he was definitely in an age range that he could have been my dad. And that was creepy first, but then I thought about it and it was kind of sad. And then I realized, so I spent more time researching all those things, like reading about it, and then way down the line uh, some of my students there, they were in a cheerleading team, and the cheerleading team actually was pretty good. So they went to like national competitions, even some they traveled internationally eventually, because some of them actually got a scholarship for a uni in Bangkok that has the Thai cheerleading team, the Thai national cheerleading team. So they got a scholarship for this, for cheerleading. They came to Bangkok, became like cheerleaders for the university, went to Japan and so on, and did like cool things. But then, like in this team, there were twins. In this particular case, twins, like two girls. And then one of the girls went back home, and I was wondering like why. And turned out that she got married back home to a very old foreigner, which was just a tad bit weird. And then she had to quit her dream of being like a national or international, a cheerleader on international level, right? It's kind of sad. You can see I hesitate, or I'm getting slower when talking, because I'm thinking back, and it's really sad that you have to give up your dreams for this. So that's unfortunately one of the negative aspects, because people in Isan are really poor. Not all of them, but many of them, because it's just a poor region. It's like agriculture and so on, and yeah, it's tough there. It's really tough, and that's why it's so impressive that lots of the people are still so super nice there. Like I said, they welcome me with open arms. Some of the parents invited me for dinner, for example, over. That was nice. Some parents told their kids, my students, to like drive me around on the weekend, like, hey, take the teacher and show them like a temple or something. That was pretty nice, for example. One student came to me and said like, hey teacher, my mom said I might show you a temple. Would you mind? I'm like, are you sure? And they, yeah, my mom said I should show you around. Okay, then they took me to the temple. Like the student with the mom took me to a temple, showed me like how to do like certain things in a Thai Buddhist temple, and more on this maybe also down the road in another episode, like what to do in a Thai Buddhist temple. There are different things that you should do, that you shouldn't do, and so on. So that was pretty cool. So the people super nice, and then on the other hand, many of them are super poor, which is really, really, really sad. So if you have the chance to actually go to Udon Thani, to Isan, I mean, if you're longer here in Thailand, I wouldn't recommend it as a holiday destination per se. So if you have just a week or something, and you want to see the beach and so on, yeah, go see the beach, of course. If you got some time and you want to see real people, real life, take a trip to Isan, go to Udon Thani. From Udon Thani, you can go to Nong Khai, which is also in Isan. Nong Khai is right at the border to Laos, for example. So once travel is open again, you could go Udon Thani, Nong Khai, which is not too far, and then maybe to Laos, to Vientiane, which is right across the Mekong River from Nong Khai. Great baguette there. Thanks, French people. I'm sorry. Lao people in Vientiane and in Laos are also super awesome, super cool, super polite. I like the outfits there also, the traditional Lao vibe outfits that they have, which is very nice. Maybe another episode also on Laos, on being Vientiane or in Luang Prabang and so on. So it's really worth it. It's, again, if you're short on time, don't go. If you got some time and you want to see some real life and want to learn something and meet real people, then do it. Then go to Isan, go to the border, chill at the Mekong River, and do things like this, because that's really fun and definitely worth it. I'm going on a tangent here right now, so let's stop my Udon Thani memories right here. I promise next time more structured. Maybe I'll make a list of the Facebook questions that I'm going to answer, and so that I'm not going to go off on a tangent just like right now, like, oh yeah, you said this. But keep those questions coming, because I appreciate it. That makes sense to take your questions, I believe, because then I know what people want to hear and what people are curious about. That's it for today. It's 20 something minutes already, 25 minutes, so let's stop it right here. Next time then maybe something about either Bangkok, Laos, or maybe that crazy episode with all the crazy things combined. Let me know what you want to hear. Until then, take care. See you soon. Sawadee krap.